Hello, everybody. Digibro here with my good friend
TrevCon 2015.
TrevCon 2015,
2016,
and we're here
whatever.
to talk about our picks for our favorite albums of 2015.
Yay.
I listened to like everything. What did you? How much did you listen to? Would you say?
I definitely feel like I listened to more varied things or more obscure things in 2014, but
Yeah,
I still got some good music in.
you got like one strand of hair going right across your.
It's
forehead.
fine. It's fine. I still got a fair amount of people going, "What the fuck are you listening to?"
Right.
So you know,
The perennial question. Would you say it was an overall good year for you?
for music, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. There's a lot of stuff that came out in like January. I liked, like a couple albums I can think of right now.
Yeah, it had a solid early year, I would say.
I think so.
I think early in the year I thought it was because of some of the stuff that came out in like January. I thought this was going to be like an amazing year for music because we had, I mean, spoilers for the list. Some of the spoilers are on the wall right here. I've decked us out with 2015 albums, but Jenny Death and To Pimp a Butterfly and No Now by Clarence Clarity all came out in like January, which is 3 of my top 10. So I was like, I was kind of excited, and then I was. I wanted to ask you about this. I'll talk about it first, but I'm going to ask you about how you went about listening to music this year, like in what circumstances, because like for me, typically I listen to music at all times. Like I can't
Right.
stand sitting in silence. I always have music playing when I'm doing anything. But this year I spent way more time listening to like podcasts and let's plays, like especially back in February when my channel went down. I was kind of like depressed, and I just like
Right.
watched all of Game Grumps, and that was all I did for like most of February, and didn't listen to any new music. So like when the end of the year came around, I really only had like 5 or 6 albums I'd listened to a lot, and so I spent like all of December listening to everything that came out all year. I don't know. How much music do you think you listened to?
You mean for the year or just in general, like on a given day?
Yeah, like were you listening to music like all the time? Did you feel like you listened to less or more than usual? And like, how many times do you think you listened to some of your favorite albums?
Well, I think I listened to less in the sense that like when I lived in California last year, I had a night job.
Uh-huh.
So that allowed me to just listen to music throughout most of my shift. So
Right.
that's how like I feel like I listened to a lot of music last year,
Yeah.
mainly like artists back catalogs, like a lot of old David Bowie, a lot of Bob Dylan, a lot of that shit. But I still feel like I listened to a fair amount of music this year. I usually, I'll like wake up and rush to class. I come back and I just chill out. Someone's released a new song, a new single or whatever. I check that out, like a music videos, and then I'll just fuck around on YouTube till my next class. And
Right.
then on the way to class, I listen to music. I get to classes usually like at least 15 minutes before they start, so I listen to music then. When I walk back to my room, I try to convince my roommate to like, check out this album, especially if like we're just hanging out. We're like, I'm playing his PlayStation, he's playing WoW or whatever.
Right.
I put on an album, try and gauge his reaction. I actually got him into Portugal the Man,
Nice.
but
They unfortunately did not release an album this year.
no, I'm sure
Overdue
they'll have
for
something
one.
soon.
All right. I guess we should dive right into this. We're gonna sort of do honorable mentions first, and then get
Oh.
into our favorite albums
All right.
of the year. So, I personally, I kind of organized it this way, but I kind of just happened to have 10 favorites and 10 honorable mentions. I don't know what you have, but I guess I'll start us off. So one of my
Go ahead.
honorable mentions, Noctunes by Willis Earl Beal. You ever listen to Willis Earl Beal?
Yes, I have. I listened to whatever album he put out like a couple years ago, where it's like the black album cover and then like the smiley thing.
Yeah.
I listened
That's
to
his.
that one.
That's his most popular one. This one did not get any critical attention. It was kind of ragged on by most people.
I feel like I didn't even know he put out an album this year.
Yeah, it was really early into the year, and I didn't listen to it at first because I couldn't find it anywhere. Like it was like you could buy it obviously,
Right.
but like I didn't know what it sounded like, and it got shitty reviews. So I was like, it's not on YouTube. I couldn't find it in archives for like a long time, and then I finally did, and it's called Noctunes. So you think nocturnal tunes, right? And it is sleep music.
Uh-huh.
Like this immediately for me was like, this is what I'm going to listen to when I go to bed. Because like every song is just sort of like ethereal, like atmospheric, like chords on like a keyboard or something or a synthesizer, and then him singing over it like really slowly and sort of like bluesy, chilled out singing, but every song just sounds like nighttime. Like if you were making a movie and you were just trying to depict that it was night, and like and it's just like, yeah, like simple. I totally get why critics didn't like it. It's not a memorable album by any stretch. I don't think I would like put it on normally, but for like I always listen to music when I go to bed. Yeah. So like every year I usually have like that one thing that was the perfect bedtime music. Last year it was Dean Blunt's black metal, and this year it's Noctunes by Willis or Beal. So all right, what about you? Honorable mentions.
Here, let me check my thing. I got about 4 top albums, like solid top albums, and I have like a list of at least 20 honorable mentions. But I'll just single some out. Okay. Pretty early in the year, an album came out, or earlier in the year, called Midnight Snack by an artist called Homeshake, and that is the project of Peter Seeger, who was the former touring guitarist for Mac DeMarco, and he is like a phenomenal, like kind of bluesy guitarist. He's just great. I was actually playing his album earlier today. You were in the room, but it's the album you said, is that a Good Night Moon or whatever, is that album, and it's just kind of weird. I feel like it's a little chill wavy, but then also his like guitar proficiency shines through, and it's a lot of like repetitive kind of loopy stuff.
Right, you listen to a lot of that.
I do,
stuff.
but it was calming. It's kind of, there's a few like more somber tracks, but overall very chill, nice to just put on. I listen to it in the shower a lot. That's where I listen to a lot of music as well, in the shower. At
I don't take long enough showers, and my computer's too far away from it. Well, I play from
my fucking phone.
Yeah, you play a lot more music from your phone than I do.
And yeah, it's pretty good. If you like Mac DeMarco,
you can do another one since you have a lot more listed than me.
All right. What do we got? Okay, another Mac DeMarco related band. How about that? Alex Calder, Strange Dreams. He actually put this album out on Bandcamp last year, I believe. But he had since signed to Capture Tracks, which is the same label that Mac DeMarco is on, and he re-recorded a few of the songs. The history with him and Mac DeMarco is before Mac DeMarco was Mac DeMarco, they were in a band together called Make Out Videotape. They just made really lo-fi, loud, kind of 2-minute rock songs. Like, nothing super impressive, but fun. But Alex Calder, I feel like, is Mac DeMarco if Mac DeMarco got a little more serious and like a little more weird, and I mean like musically adventurous, not weird as in strange, because Mac DeMarco is already pretty strange. But I definitely recommend that. The title track Strange Dreams had 2 versions of it, and I always used to hate the new one, but recently I've really liked the new one, so I don't know, it's weird. I recommend that.
All right. I'll do an honorable mention we can both talk about.
All right.
Unless it's in... Is this one in your top 4? If it's not in your top 4, we can talk about it.
It's not in my top 4, but I was considering putting it into it, so it'd be a top 5. But no, it's in my...
No, we'll skip that for now, and we'll go to Sour Soul.
Sour Soul.
That's another one we can both talk about. Bad Bad Not Good with Ghostface Killah.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about that. I listened to it like twice.
Yeah, you. Funny that you only listened to it twice, because I listened to it a lot more. It's odd. So this is this album is the band Bad Bad Not Good, which is like a jazz band that plays like hip hop covers. Yeah. Like they sort of got prominence from doing covers of Odd Future songs, right? Like Earl and Tyler the Creator songs.
And they also did a cover of Leslie Feist, "Limit to Your Love," which was popularized by James Blunt or some.
But they're straight up a jazz band.
Yeah,
they're not a hip hop band.
They go to NYU, or they did go to NYU. They were like jazz music students,
right?
And they're just great.
And but they were covering hip hop songs, and then Ghostface Killah, one of the members of Wu-Tang Clan, who's been around forever, did an album with them. And it's interesting because I can't say that like I really love any of the songs on here, and I think Ghostface's lyrics are kind of weak on this album, but the instrumentals are so like chilled out and easy to listen to that I put this on in the background a lot more than I expected to. I would just be like, I need some chill like jazzy hip hop, and I just throw this on. I mean, I probably, And I've never really been that into Bad Bad Not Good's regular stuff because there's no vocals to it,
Right.
and I just prefer to have vocals in my music for the most part. You know, with exceptions to stuff like Anamanaguchi, which is very musically dense, anyways. But like, yeah, it was interesting to listen to it as background music. My problem with Sour Soul, this kind of bothers me that no one on the project thought about this, because it's like 11 songs, and like the first 9 songs are all about like gangsta shit, right? It's all like him being this crazy out there guy who's like distanced from society and all this shit, and like he's a monster and everything. And then the last 2 songs are all about like making the world a better place and being faithful to Allah and stuff like that, and like just like being like a good person. It's like about how the world's fucked up and we should all be better people after like 9 songs of being a gangster. It's really, really weird. But other than that, I mean, it was solid. It was good background listening, and you're the one who, like, I got this album by way of Trevor saying you should listen to this, and then just sending me through Facebook the whole album on MP3.
Oh yeah, I remember. Well, like, I was really hyped
through
for it.
Facebook Messenger.
It was something I knew about for like at least a few months beforehand. I was like, oh man, like Ghostface Killah is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Bad Bad Not Good. You know, I enjoy them. I listen to their albums. Not a lot, but a few times. I got some tracks I like, and I was like, man, did they make a record together? Like, it might be really cool. And
yeah, I think the issue with it is just that, like, you know, both of them are very prolific. Yeah. I don't think either one of them went into this like it's gonna be like this huge deal, like, oh my god, we're gonna like meeting of the minds. It was probably more like, you know, they both churn out shit all the time, so they just kind of threw some stuff together. You know,
that's probably how it went.
Because Ghostface Killah puts out like at least an album a year.
He
had Reasons to Die and then Reasons to Die 2, like 2013 and 2014.
Reasons to Die 2 came out this year.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, last year was he had an album last year, but it wasn't Reasons to Die 2. It was it was a Ghostface album, because Reasons to Die is him and Adrian Young.
All right, enough about that. What's your next stuff? Because the camera will eventually run out of space, so we gotta keep it relatively concise.
All right, Bob Dylan dropped an album in January this year, and I had known about it beforehand for a while that it was coming, but when it came out finally. Turns out it's all Frank Sinatra covers. I was a little hesitant to listen to it because I was like, it's Bob Dylan. He's like old as shit singing Frank Sinatra. But I was actually very impressed by this album. I downloaded it the day it got released, listened to it, you know, right after I put it on my phone as I was walking to my 7 a.m. class. And before the class started, it was in this giant auditorium. And it was kind of captivating. It was charming. And his voice sounded the best it's been in probably 20 years. Like, it wasn't it wasn't like that, but I was gonna say, like, the album isn't like anything landmark, but it's enjoyable. It's good. I would recommend that. There's some kind of sadder songs, and then some just, you know, he's crooning, he's doing his thing.
Give us another.
All right.
Do you have Sun Kill Moon on there? Were you into that?
I do. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I got that album. That came out like kind of May, June time. Yeah, I got that after I came back to Virginia. And I listened to the whole album while mowing my yard. And it's a very engrossing album to me because of the lyrics. And he's like really telling a damn story. Like there's one song where he's talking about he was on a film set with some woman and yada, yada, yada. It's okay. I think I really only listened to it that one time.
How did you feel about it just in like with the perspective of what Mark Kozelek has become in the last year, sort of this like meme of the music community? Because Sun Kill Moon is the artist Mark Kozelek, and he had like these spats and comments left and right, weird live shows. The song "War on Drugs, Suck My Cock," dedicated to the band The War on Drugs.
What a great song.
And Trevor was really following all that drama, and it was pretty funny to hear about from him. But
it's just entertaining.
I've never gotten into Sun Kill Moon, and this particular album, I listened to a few songs on it, and like each one for the first like minute and a half, I was like, all right, like I like the sounds he's producing. Right. but then the whole song would be that sound for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They're very long.
Yeah, like every song is at least 7 minutes.
It's really like you have to be engrossed in the story that he's telling in order for it to like work. And I mostly listen to music in the background. I don't usually like focus intently on the lyrics. So
there's one song on the album. I don't really remember a lot of like the lyrical content, but it's called The Possum, I think, and it's about this possum gets hit on the road. But like he's telling this whole story around it. It's interesting. I would check it out. If you want to really get into Sun Kil Moon, I'd probably listen to Benji. That's a lot more soul crushing.
Oh, yeah.
This album's not as depressing, I don't think. A little bit, but not as much.
All right. Here's an album that this is the only one on my list that or not the only one, but one of the only ones that I put on here, even though I didn't end up downloading it or listening to it a lot. But the few times I did, I was really interested in it, which is the new FKA Twigs EP.
Melissa or whatever.
Yeah, right? Melissa or Melissex, or it's like a bunch of letters.
It's like letters and numbers and shit.
Yeah. But it's like a 15-minute EP, and like it has a music video for the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And the first like 4 or 5 minutes are this kind of minimal song that wasn't that interesting, and the video was like this creepy old lady and stuff. But then after that, it gets into these really catchy yet minimal and creepy songs that have awesome videos. Like it's like blending fashion and well, I guess the art of fashion. I was gonna say fashion and art, but it's just really artistic fashion and dance videos. Sort of like if Lady Gaga was presented with a lot more class, you know. And I'm a Lady Gaga fan. That's not a knock on her, but like she's very outlandish. FKA Twigs is more like artistic feeling and like, you know, pulled back, but it's that kind of like weird trippy version of fashion and dance that's going on. And so the video had a lot to do with my appreciation of the music, because I would end up like watching it and listening to it every time. FKA Twigs is like a little too minimal for me, where like there's just not a lot going on in her music, and like, but she can sing really well, and the sounds are interesting. It just like it doesn't hold my attention too well. But the last song on this EP held my attention better than anything she's done before, and it's really catchy in spite of how like trippy and slow it is. So. Yeah,
I listened to her LP2 or whatever that came out last year.
LP1.
Is it LP1?
Yeah, she's only got one album.
Oh. It was okay. Like, it wasn't bad. I don't want to like shit on it or anything, but I just don't think it's like my kind of thing. I should probably revisit it, because I only listened to it like once or twice while working, but I wasn't into it. And I meant to download this and check it out, but just never did. I had a friend who's
I'd recommend watching the video on YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have to watch the first 4 minutes where it's literally just this like, it's like the old ladies from Dark Souls 2. It's like one of those just like cackling at you for like 4 minutes. It's really weird. All right, you can go now.
All right. There's a band called The Garden, and they're based out in California, and their father was a really influential punk musician, I think.
Their father? Are they like brothers or something?
They're twins, actually. They're Wyatt and Fletcher Shears, and one of them actually dyes their hair, so you know you can tell them apart. But
oh, so because they're like identical.
Yes, they're identical twins. But I first learned about these guys when I moved to California, and I went to go see the Growlers with this girl I met on Tinder, who is actually a musician herself. She just had an album come out this year. Her name is Danny Bell, and her band is Danny Bell and the Tarantist, and the album's called Dark Moon or some shit. Check it out. Anyways, she's a really cool person, and she didn't know me at all. She took me to see the Growlers, and she's like, "Oh, the Garden's opening." I'm like, "Who the fuck is the Garden?" And we get right up in the front, like our bodies are against the stage for this show, and the Garden come on, and like the lights are dim and red, and it's just drum and bass, and they are just doing things that I did not think would be possible to do. So they're really like loud, and I think they call themselves Data Rock or something.
Data Rock?
And they just do this, they play this wild ass set, and then all of a sudden they just walk away from their instruments, plug in an iPhone into an amp, start playing these electric beats and rapping. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? So
that does sound pretty interesting.
I think this is their second like big album, and it's called Ha Ha, and it came out on Burger Records in partnership with Epitaph.
I just noticed you got like
Yes.
burger shit all over you.
Wearing the burger shirt.
Full represent.
Yes. And well, it actually came out mainly on Epitaph in partnership with Burger, and it is just this wild kind of like mix of like weird. It's just bass and drums, and then like weird vocal effects and guitar effects, obviously. And I can't really explain it. You just need to experience it. It is. They're pretty original, I'd say. I got Tolentino to listen to the title track a few times. He said he did not like it at first, and then the more he listened to it, he was like, "Man, this is like The Garden. This is what The Garden sounds like. This is what they are. If you want to get into them, just check out the song. It's called Ha Ha."
Maybe I will. I have not haven't heard it.
They're bizarre.
Speaking of Epitaph, I'll talk about Harmlessness by The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die.
This is an album I have not listened to at all. I see a lot of people talk about it. Is this a hipster band?
Here's the thing. The funny thing is, fans of this band are very divided about this album. The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die is an emo band. Sort of came out of this emo revival that's happening right now, which we're talking about. For those who don't know, emo, the actual genre of music, is not the same as emo, the cultural trend of 2005. Emo bands would be stuff like American Football or what are some good examples of emo bands? Fuck my brain right now. But these guys are sort of emo with a bit of a post-hardcore edge to them, especially on this album. And this album is a bit more out there and like different sounding compared to their other stuff. I was not into their previous album, which came out last year, or the weird shit they put out in the meantime. And I'm not that into this album either. It's more that there's like 3 songs that are amazing on it, and the rest of it is kind of take or leave. The song January 10th, 2014, which is like, it's the perfect combination of like emo post-hardcore sound with a little bit of post-rock mixed in, and while still being like catchy and interesting. And the lyrics are super cool because it's like a story about this woman who like went around hunting down bus drivers who had been kidnapping women in like New Mexico. True story. And she called herself Diana the Hunter, like, or something like that. It's like a really kick-ass sounding story. And it's like this song is kind of like celebrating her and presenting her as like a hero. And the video like is like a sort of corny, fantastical reimagining of like what she did. But it's pretty cool. And then there's a few other songs. We Need More Skulls. Funnily enough, the way I listened to this album, because like I had heard it was coming out and I wasn't really interested, but then I was at Video Game Heaven, the game store, and it was just happened to be the day the album came out, and someone there was playing the song over the speakers.
Was it the one over near Lynn Haven?
No, yeah.
I think the people that work there, one of them is actually like a musician who has like a record deal and puts out albums, and he plays like. Oh,
it was a girl who worked there who was playing it, but
I'm sure they're all fucking fans of that shit.
They were like playing it pretty loud through the speakers, and the song "We Need More Skulls" is like really post rock sounding, almost like post metal, almost like ISIS, or at the very least, like a screamo sounding album, like the more post rock sounding screamo. People who know these genres will know what I'm talking about. It's hard to describe if you don't have a history with this, but it's a type of music I like a lot. So I heard this song in the store and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome. And I asked the girl, I was like, what is this? And she said, it's The World's a Beautiful Place and I'm No Longer Afraid to Die. And I was like, oh, I know who that band is. I'll check it out when I get home. So that song, the song that leads into it, and that one, and then one of the later songs, all 3 of them are on my. I forgot to talk about this. I made a playlist of my 35 favorite songs of the year. It's on this channel, Digibro After Dark, is I believe where I'm posting this. And it's my 35 favorite songs of the year. They're all amazing. Every time I listen to that playlist, I am convinced that this was a good year for music. Even though, like, last year, I'm pretty sure I had, like, a top 100 favorite tracks or something. This year I had 35. But like, they're so good. And I organized them very carefully so that they would flow into one another. So please don't skip around and go, oh, that one looks cool. Listen to them in order. I want them to be listened. I organize them for emotional effect and impact. There's only like 1 or 2 places where I think the transition could have been better, but like, Yeah, anyway, the 3 songs that are in that are the ones I like from that album. The rest of it, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you playing the January the 10th or whatever.
Yeah.
The music video looked interesting, but I'm just not a fan of that genre, just the way it sounds in general. I don't like the...
I actually really love the production on this album, especially the way the drums sound. And the drummer kicks ass in this band.
I don't like the timbre or like the rhythm of the vocals in this. And
the vocals are kind of annoying. I will say that. The vocalist is not good.
And like
I think that's a generally accepted fact about this band, even among fans, is that the vocalist is not very good.
I see.
And he's like a new vocalist too, so like there's like sort of a divide between who likes the old one and the new one. It's sort of like, because the first album they did with him was like spoken word as opposed to singing, and now he's doing like a weird mix of like spoken word sounding singing. It's kind of annoying. Anyway, you can go on with an album.
Right. This album came out in the last month or so. Oneohtrix Point Never, Garden of Delete.
Yes, this is on a lot of people's top 10s.
Honestly, I feel like if it came out early in the year, it'd probably be in my top tier. But I just downloaded it. I've seen his name thrown around a lot, and I knew the album.
He's released a lot of albums.
And I was like, fuck it, I downloaded it. The album art, like, it's like, it just looked like someone opened up Paint and scribbled something.
It
like
really
tree.
does.
And I was like, let's get it. And holy shit, I'm glad I did. I downloaded this album, no expectations, didn't listen to anything else by him. The intro is just like 20 seconds of like, just sounds like noise of you know, a recording somewhere. And then the track Ezra starts, and it's like a
chaotic techno nightmare.
It reminds me of like video game music for some reason. There's like these bell tones, and it's like
it's got like chiptune sounds in it.
But then and then that plays for like 10 seconds, and then this weird guitar comes in, and it reminds me of this game called Eldritch. It's like this shitty H.P. Lovecraft inspired game, and it reminds me of that game. And then this dude's voice just starts playing, and he says Ezra, Ezra, and then it's like, then it just fucking devolves into madness.
Yeah.
But I was listening to this in my advertising graphics class, where we just basically fuck around on Photoshop all class, and once like, you know, you hit like the 30-second mark or something, it just explodes into whatever. I got like a jolt of energy, and like I felt like I had red pilled, and I was ready to like do all my work.
Oh man.
And he's on Warp Records, I believe. I'm a pretty big proponent of Warp Records. Brian Eno, he's on Warp Records. At band Darkstar, who I don't
need to go on and on about the damn record company.
Hey, I'd like to.
I checked out that album. Oneohtrix Point Never is very popular on the music board on 4chan. He shows up on there like in everyone's favorite albums list and like you know the board's in general favorite list. So you know, earlier this year I listened to a bunch of his shit because I have one of those like how to get into this artist charts, because he's got like 50 fucking albums, and it's got like, you know, like if you liked this sound, then do this one next, and like, oh, I want more of this and less of that, and like go around this tree, and all of it's like pretty interesting stuff, but it's usually like very minimal and hypnotic, where it's just kind of like weird trippy fucking noises going on for like 10 minutes and then something else, you know. And with this album, it was like, I would describe it as like if you took like an IDM band like Autechre and put it in a dishwasher and like just mixed it all up. It's chaos. I listened to a few songs and I wasn't really able to parse them. Like I was just like, what am I fucking hearing? You know.
You just gotta let it happen to you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably try to get into it like in the future, because so many people, like everyone had it in their top 10, and I was like, really, this album's chaos. Like
I know Fantano gave it like a 7, I think. Maybe.
No, he gave it like a strong 8. It was in like his top 20, I think, in his top 15 or 20 albums of the year. And a few of my friends were like really into it too, so I was like, I must be missing something here. This is chaos.
I thoroughly enjoyed it for having no background with him. A$AP Rocky, At.Long.Last.A AP.
What'd you think of it?
It's alright. I don't think it was, it's not my top. It was enjoyable though. It was more of the same, honestly.
I've never been into A$AP Rocky.
Really?
I've only gotten into Ferg.
Only Ferg?
Yeah.
I
like
feel
Ferg because he's fucking weird. You know, he sings about really stupid, weird shit, like being Shabba Ranks, you know? I don't think Rocky has that, like, spark of strangeness that Ferg has.
Rocky's just more coherent, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's still as I don't want to say ignorant. That sounds dismissive, but it's on that same level as Ferg. But there's a few songs on here. Like the last song is about like ASAP Yams being dead and shit. So
Right.
it's kind of poignant. But
ASAP Yams having been the producer for the ASAP Mob.
yeah, he was like the leader of
Right.
the clique, as they say.
Yeah.
And he died in January, unfortunately, of I think it was codeine overdose or something like that.
No idea.
Sad. But if you like ASAP anything, I would listen to it.
You've probably already heard it if you like ASAP.
Yeah.
If you like the ASAP Mob.
Definitely
music.
an album I would blast if I was driving or drinking.
All right, here's one that I believe is on both of our lists. And it was close to my top 10, but I just couldn't quite put it there. I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside by Earl Sweatshirt,
Yes.
which is the best album title ever. It's truly an amazing album title. Earl was sort of a sleeper favorite for me because when Doris came out in 2013, I was not really interested in it. I didn't get into it, and then like the next year, I suddenly was like really into Doris, and it's probably one of my like top 30 hip hop albums at this point.
Doris?
Yeah, it's got a lot of like my favorite rap songs ever on it. Like Hive is probably one of my favorite
Hive is
songs.
great. The production, the beat.
What's the fucking one? Not 20 Wave Caps, but like one of the early songs on there, the one that has Frank Ocean, was one of those songs that like I hadn't paid much attention to until I listened to it like during like a tumultuous period of my relationship, or like right around when I broke up with my girlfriend, and suddenly the lyrics clicked and were exactly how I felt. It was that kind of thing. But yeah, this album, I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside, is a lot more aggressive than Doris, and a lot more like he just like fuck the world.
He is surly on this album.
And if you follow Earl's career, this dude, he was a really young. He put out his first EP when he was like 15 or 16, and it sort of made a splash because he sounded just like MF Doom, but like a child version of MF Doom. And then his mom sent him off to
Samoa.
Yeah, sent him off to Samoa to be in like a Christian camp or something
It was
like that.
for at-risk youth because
Right.
she was worried he was going to do drugs or some shit.
Yeah, well, because he was fucking around with a bunch of rappers and shit. And
Right.
the thing is, like, his career was taking off at that exact moment. Like, he would have become a famous rapper in that moment, but then he gets sent away and has no communication with anyone for 2 years.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, back at home, his best friend Tyler, the Creator, is becoming super famous. He comes back, immediately gets to work on Doris. And, like, if you listen to Doris, you can tell it's pretty ambitious. He was trying to, like, make up for lost time, make this album that people would talk about, and he did that. He's got, like, all of his friends on there and stuff. And then, in the span of time between them and this album, he sort of realized that he doesn't like the fame. He doesn't like public attention at all. He doesn't like people. He doesn't like most of the people he thought were his friends before. He doesn't care about anyone in the Odd Future group. He left
Yeah.
Odd Future, canceled a tour with a few dates left because he said he was physically and mentally at the end of his rope, and then holed up in his house, stopped going outside, and I think the I Don't Like Shit specifically refers to anyone's music. And he even says on Doris, there's a few lines where he says, like, I don't like most of I don't fuck with too much of y'all's shit,
Right.
And then on this album, there's, like, a lot of lyrics where he's explicitly, like, calling out people for riding the waves, that he created. I was making waves, you were surfing in them and stuff like that. He's just, like, really bitter towards everyone, and this is the album of someone who has shut the door and said, fuck it, I'm done. I am done with all these people. I'm done with everyone in the world. I don't like shit. I don't go outside. And I love that aspect of it. And this album, if you listen to it when you are in that mindset, it is perfect.
I think that's why I like it more than Doris, because I definitely mesh with that ideology.
When this album came out, I wasn't that into it because
Same.
I do think it's underproduced. I think too many of the songs, especially later on, like the first few tracks are really great, and then some of the later ones are just like feel like really lazy, like he just came up with something and threw it on there. I feel like the first half of the album was like the songs he really worked on, and the second half were like he wanted to fill up an album, you know, and just sort of threw some stuff together. Wiki from Rat King is a really weak verse.
I think that's actually from like a different song as well.
Really?
Yes. Like the same, I don't know if it's the same recording, but I think it's like the same, because I looked it up on fucking Rap Genius or whatever.
I like Rat King and all, but Wiki's verse was pretty weak.
I think that's my favorite song on the album though, because like after Earl does his verse, it's like a almost 2-minute like instrumental, and I love that instrumental for whatever reason. It's
I would
dark.
say Grief, which is the main single, which is my favorite track on there, has easily one of my top 3 rap beats of the year. That's just fucking, it's just this, it's like do do. It's just like it's the most skeletal, like haunting, like it makes you feel like you're in a coma, or like it makes you feel like you don't like shit and you don't go outside. Like it's a song about like sitting in the dark and being miserable, and like the beat is perfect for it, and it's so like whatever it's made out of, it sounds like it was like sounds that were recorded on a camera or something, like someone was filming something and like they closed a door and it's a beat made from that or something like that. A lot of stuff on this album is really harsh, and like the production's very strange. But I don't know. It's really cool. And if you are in that mood, which I have been, you know, like the moment I got into the album was when I was like legit pissed off at the world, and I threw on that album, and it was like, yes, like this is exactly how I feel. I don't like shit. I don't go outside, you know.
I didn't like it when it first came out either, but our friend Brando, he came back.
Earl fan.
He is that album in particular, because he
doesn't like shit.
He doesn't like shit. he doesn't go outside, and you know, he'd come pick me up and stuff because I didn't have a car or a license. And he would play that album, and it really grew on me. Yeah.
All right, you can go now. Sorry about the long period of no video that you just experienced. It cut off and we didn't know, so I don't know why that happened, but you can go on and continue with the next thing.
Chili Gonzales. He's Canadian. He's worked with Drake. You know, he's one of the cool kids. He was in some band, and then he quit the band, and then he moved to Germany, I think, and became a MC, and he like did these weird rap albums in the 90s and early 2000s, and then he put out a solo piano, which is just him playing piano, like he's a classical composer, and it's, you know, really somber, make you kind of feelsy. And then he put out another one of those MC albums, which is pretty cool, and then another piano album. This album is called Chambers, and it is once again revisiting, you know, that kind of classical music, but this time he has a full chamber, you know, music ensemble, which is usually, you know, pretty small, intimate performances, and it's, I don't know, I was always a fan of him. He's kind of pompous, but I appreciate that to a degree.
Brandon hates him for that.
He does. And there's like, some of these songs are like, there's like these whole meanings behind him. On his website, he has like these cards where he like explains like the song is dedicated to someone in particular for some reason. Like one is dedicated to that tennis player, Roger Federer or something.
Right.
For some reason or other, but it's just weird.
Great tennis player.
He's the musical genius, and I'm sure it's part of his shtick. But it's a.
I recommend. I haven't listened to that album, but Chili Gonzales does a series called Pop Music Masterclass.
Yes, I love those.
His Pop Music Masterclass videos are probably the most solid music analysis on the internet, in that it's the only thing I've seen that I would consider music analysis in like a series. Like, you know, I love Fantano and his reviews, but he very rarely gets into like an analytical place with them, you know.
Subjective. I feel like he's being objective in these because he's using like musical.
Well, yeah. Oh, I don't want to talk about objective or subjective, but like I just mean that Fantano will talk about like, this is why I liked the album.
Right.
And it's good for like consumer review, you know, like, do I want to listen to it or not, or helping you like figure out why you feel what you do. But like Chili Gonzales is like technical breakdowns.
Yeah.
Like, this refrain from this song makes you feel this way, and that's why it's popular in music, you know. Really interesting stuff.
I think he talks about ARPs in one of his videos.
Yeah, man, the ARPs.
Fucking ARPs. He you know, he reviewed I Love McConan, right? up
Oh
on
yeah,
a
I did see
Tuesday.
that. Incidentally, the reason that ARPS thing I was telling you, because ARPS just is short for arpeggios,
Right.
but Trevor was confused and I was telling him to play ARPS the other day, and I got that term from the Oneohtrix Point Never map thing I was telling you about, because a lot of his albums are just like nonstop arpeggios. So people like the map will say like more ARPS, less ARPS, and like put you in those directions. And ever since then, I started saying ARPS all the time. All right, I'm gonna knock out two of mine at the same time because they're on this list for the exact same reason. They're both black metal albums, like atmospheric black metal albums. I've never been very into like straight up black metal, but I love hipster black metal, which is what they call like the modern wave of like more folksy, atmospheric, and like black metal that's not necessarily just dark and depressing, but usually a little bit more ethereal. Sort of popularized by Agaloch and Alcest and Wolves in the Throne Room and Krallis. And Krallis put out a new album this year, but it wasn't really anything special. But like the genre is like one that I almost always like albums in this genre, but almost never listen to them. It's like it's the kind of music that like is kind of, because it's dark and loud and intense, I'm not always in the mood for it. You know, it's not the kind of shit I can like listen to while doing other stuff or like while feeling happy in life. You know, you kind of have to be like wanting to have a more aesthetic experience with your music. So Autumn Eternal by Panopticon, which is more of the folksy side of like a black metal album, which is really solid. Panopticon, all their albums are solid. All of them I've never had a Panopticon album that I've listened to more than 10 times total, but I've liked all the stuff I've heard from them. It's just like such a mood thing. And then New Bermuda by Deafheaven has some really weird moments on it, and a lot of people didn't like this album as much as last year's Sunbather, which everyone fucking jizzed over. I didn't like Sunbather. I liked New Bermuda, so yeah. I mean, I didn't love it, or else it would be in my top 10 here, and like I only listened to it a few times. But yeah, I don't know. It was just easier to listen to than Sunbather for me. Sunbather just felt like cloying and pretentious to me. But and this one felt pretentious too, mostly because of its like weird musical decisions, like parts where it's like really somber and atmospheric, and then all of a sudden like a triumphant sounding guitar solo kicks in out of nowhere, and it's really bizarre. There's like one moment on the album that is so jarring that it like takes me out of it when I hear it, even though like the guitar solo is good, but like it's so out of left field compared to what was happening before that it's shit. But anyway, you can go now.
Well, John Frusciante this year released a bunch of free music. He started a Bandcamp too, and it was mainly to address this interview he did earlier this year or last year, where it was like with a foreign press something, and the dude interpreted John Frusciante as saying, "I don't have an audience right now. Like, I'm not making music for anyone in particular." Or he said, "I'm not making music for anyone." Mm-hmm. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, John's quitting again. He's giving up. He's done. He's sick of us. He's going away." And John finally addressed this in like this very like venomous, I could tell he was probably pissed off when he was writing this, and he's just like, the guy was nice, it was a great interview, but he like really misinterpreted what I was saying. I was just saying, I'm just making music for me. Like, I'm not trying to go
appeal to an audience.
Yes, but he's like, obviously I have fans who are going to consume this. And he just put out all these like weird, like really following like the trend of PBX Funicular and Taglia Zone and Leffer Litter, where it's just like weird like synthesized drums and like samples and like weird guitars and synths and shit. Right. And yeah, it's like probably like 20 songs worth of that, and then like this cover of a song from Casa de Mi Padre, which was a Will Ferrell movie that he decided to cover. Nothing like really spectacular about them, but I enjoyed them.
I used to very long time John Frusciante fan.
Oh, definitely since high school. Gotta take that shit back. Chili Peppers fan too. What else we got here? The new Grimes album and it's kind of contentious. And I guess I shouldn't really comment because I've only listened to it like twice. I enjoyed it. I think Fantano gave it like a 7.
He had it in his top 50.
It's all right. It is definitely way more pop oriented. Like her vocals are a lot clearer. She really enunciates more. There's less of that signature Grimes lisp. But I did really like the song Reality. There's like I don't even know the fucking song names, but it's all right. I don't think it deserves the hate it's getting. I'm part of this music group on Facebook, and the dude's just like, Grimes is garbage, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, like, I understand you don't like the album, but I don't think she's garbage. It's just different.
Right.
Bunch of hateful
Yeah,
people.
I've never gotten into Grimes, but whatever.
You don't fucking hate her for no reason.
Right. This is an album that you had said you wanted to listen to, but I don't think you got around to. White Men Are Black Men Too by Young Fathers.
Yes.
Which I believe was a mostly experimental hip-hop band.
Yeah.
This is not a hip-hop album in any way. There's
Really?
no rapping on this album at all. I would compare it most strongly to TV on the Radio.
I think they are like a bunch of black dudes, too.
It's 2 black dudes and 2 white guys, which, I mean, is what TV on the Radio is.
That's basically what they are.
But they're very TV on the Radio-esque. It's, like, just experimental, like, pop music that, I more consistently enjoyed this than I did any TV on the Radio album, but there were not as many standouts. TV on the Radio is a band who, like, has 2 or 3 songs per album that are, like, the greatest song ever, and then the rest of the album is, I can completely take or leave. This one, all the songs are pretty okay. None of them really stood out all that much, which is why it's not in my top 10. Though I do like the not title track, but the one that has the title lyrics in it, which is called, I don't fucking remember. But it's about how some white men are black men too. It sort of seems to be about not like it was interesting. The lyrics are sort of about like being sick of blaming the white men for the singer saying he's like sick of blaming the white man for his problems and just like, you know, like we're all fucking the same, that kind of thing, you know. They're pretty esoteric lyrics, so it's hard to like exactly say what they mean, but
Derive a meaning.
Yeah, they're very interesting lyrics, and there's a few really catchy songs on here. Some of them, there's some that are like really strange in an interesting way, especially towards the back end. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was solid, fun, experimental music. I think it's the kind of album that I'd throw on every once in a while just to have something different playing, you know. But again, nothing stood out so much that I could put it in my top albums. Nothing quite made it into my favorite songs of the year list. So, yeah.
All right. Couple albums I listened to a lot during the summer. Another Mac DeMarco related group. Walter TV came out with their second album called Blessed, and they have a single on there called Surf Metal, which is probably the best way to describe the album. It's just chaotic, more chaotic than The Garden, and it's Pierce from Mac DeMarco's band, who is I get this impression that he's foul. I saw Walter TV play at when I went to Beach Goth, and I said, "It's only smells," and he singled me out. He said, "Fuck you." So and I later confirmed with Mac in an AMA on Reddit that Pierce was unhappy that day. But anyways,
I see.
They're pretty funky. They're pretty weird. It's Pierce. It's the drummer from Mac DeMarco's touring band. I forget his fucking name, but they're pretty solid. They're fun to listen to. I can't even hear what Pierce is saying. There's so much effects on his vocals, like phasers and shit, but it's pretty cool. And I tried to get y'all into this one. I recommended this in the Earthbound playthrough, Jacco Gardner Hypnophobia, which is this. It's just a really kind of sleepy, ironically, because hypnophobia is fear of sleep, I believe. And it's just this, sleepy psych album. Maybe he has Fergsomnia, I'm not sure.
Fergsomnia. That was this year, right?
That was 2014, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Ferg Forever. But
I can't sleep.
Jacco Gardner, I think he's from somewhere in Europe, and he actually just toured with this burger musician named Michael Ralt, whose album I meant to listen to but never did. He's anyways, Jacco Gardner, solid. New psych. There's like a motif throughout the album. It just plays on like almost every song. It's pretty alright. I likes it.
Alright. feel like I had a comment in there. I forgot.
It's fine.
Anyway, here's one that you haven't heard. No one's heard except for me and some other people. An album called "Letting You Know" by Sunshine Faces. This is like the most weirdly lucky stumbling upon something ever, because I was just on the music board on 4chan, and I think it was just like a share thread or something, like where people just post like stuff they found on Bandcamp, or usually their own music, you know. And someone linked this album, and I clicked it and listened to it, and it was really good. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like some random shit. Yeah, it's just like it's like sort of sleepy bedroom produced like shoegaze stuff, but like the first I think it's like 10 tracks, and like the whole first half is just like atmospheric sounds, right? Like lo-fi dreamy atmosphere noise that you could just put on in the background and forget it's on, almost like soundtrack music type stuff. And then suddenly there's like a really poppy song called Teenage Prayer that comes on, and it's like, oh, this is catchy. And if you play this album on Bandcamp, it skips straight to that song when you hit play, like, you know, like that's their even though it's like track 7, but that's like the one that auto plays, right? And if you go down from there, then it's more normal sounding stuff. Like, so the whole first half is just like ethereal noise, and then suddenly it's like a like dream pop album. And so Teenage Prayer is a pretty fun song. The one that comes after that's fun. And then there's like, both of them are like really short. It's like a couple 2-minute sweet little dream pop songs that are nice. And then this like 7-minute awesome dreamy song that's like kind of hype and like has a lot of build up to it. And I'm really big into like for me, if you look at all my favorite songs ever, they're almost all like 7 minutes long and have like an arc to them where like they build up into like a big finish, you know. And this one's one of those. It's called Ethereal, and it's on my top 35 songs of the year playlist. If you're listening to that, give that a shot. It's an album I don't think anyone's heard of. And then right after that is a trippy shoegaze cover of Do the Hustle.
What the
called
fuck?
Do the Hustle. It's just on there, like the whole song, all 4 minutes. It's just do 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 do, but it's like that beat, like exactly as it is in Do the Hustle, but with just like shoegaze over it, like My Bloody Valentine plays over Do the Hustle. It's really strange, and then it ends on like a 6-minute closer. But it's short, it's sweet, it's fun to listen to. You can tell that they recorded it in their bedroom. You know, they put out another album later in the year that wasn't as good. So whatever. And also, this isn't in my mentions, but I do want to give a shout out to the album Oneohtrix. I think that might be I don't remember if that's the name of the band or the album, but there's a release called Oneohtrix on Bandcamp, which is like similarly lo-fi bedroom produced, but it's more of like a blues country rock type stuff that's like really twangy and surprisingly technical and really interesting vocals. The vocalist sounds like the guy from the Telephone Projects, which is another fucking Bandcamp band that only I like. But this Oneohtrix album, like the skill in the musicianship is really high. Like, whereas Sunshine Faces is clearly like some kids dicking around, and like, I mean, they know what they're doing, but like they're not like amazingly talented. The Oneohtrix guitarist is really skilled, and no one's heard it. There's one person who's bought the album who's listed down there, and it's someone I know. So like, the only people who have heard this are like my immediate friends, or friends of Jeff Burgess rather, because I don't know if he found it or if his friend found it, but like, only like 3 people have heard it. Go give it a listen. I didn't like it enough to put on my list, but I think it's worth recommending, and this is a good platform to do that. Oneohtrix, check them out. Really strange, bluesy country style rock, I guess. You'll like it.
You'll like it.
You might even think it's okay. I can't see you getting huge into it, but like, I don't know. It's closer to your sound maybe than it is to mine. Go ahead.
Try and knock out 3 albums real quick. Y'all know Bjork came out with an album earlier this year.
Full of New Cara.
Yep, I listened to it right when it came out. I was really like kind of depressed then because I just got to Florida and
Right.
I was like drunk that night and I walked around my whole campus listening to that album and I saw like deer and shit. It was kind of surreal. The album's pretty good. I need to listen to it again. There's a Song Exploder episode about her song Stone Milker. Song Exploder's a podcast where this dude has artists on and they break down the song. So check that out. Album's great. It's pretty sad. She said it is a complete heartbreak album.
Yeah.
I liked it. I bring that up
A
because
breakup album, rather, I believe. Right.
breakup, heartbreak.
Yeah.
I think it's both. But I brought that up because I listened to that Jenny Hval album
Yeah.
last night, and I didn't really like listen to it by myself. I was just playing it from my phone.
The fucking weird ass one, right?
Yeah, that shit reminded me of Bjork so much though. I don't know why. I think it's like the way she talks, but that's pretty interesting too. It's on a Sacred Bones.
It's definitely interesting.
I
don't know if I'd say it's good, but it is definitely interesting.
I enjoyed it.
What is soft cock? It's like this is like a spoken word poem
that's
in
like
the
the
first
first
part.
song,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really weird.
I enjoyed it though. The album cover is interesting as well.
Yeah, it's like her like passed out on an exercise ball.
Yes.
It's really fucking bizarre. Was
Was
that on your list, or were you just mentioning it?
Well, it's not on my list. It's not on my honorable mentions, but it would be on there if I listened to it earlier. And another album is Cotillion. I think that's how you say it, and it's his self-titled album. Is another Burger Records album. It came out in January. I think this dude's from France or something, but he lives in LA, and it's just kind of krautrocky, just short little
Do you think
songs.
anybody's gonna call you a poser for being a Burger Records fanboy that lives in Virginia?
Hey man, I've been to actual Burger Records, so fuck off.
You made a pilgrimage.
I did. I did it. I did the Hajj or whatever. But yeah, that stuff's fun. Check out the song "Call Me Up." There's some saxophones in there, some cool guitars. They sound kind of plunky. It's pretty enjoyable, guys. I would check it out. Fucking check it out.
I've only got one honorable mention left. Mine is this is another one that was close to my top 10. The only problem is I don't love it all the way through. But Abyss by Chelsea Wolfe. Did you hear any of that?
Nope. I've heard about her. I've never really listened to her.
She's an artist I've been interested in. Last year she had an album. I think it was last year. She had an album that that Fantano and a lot of other people praised, and I had heard a couple tracks from it, and it was the kind of thing where like the sound of it was really interesting, but I just didn't like the song didn't grab me, and I didn't listen to the whole album. So then she put out Abyss this year, and this album I would describe it as like a doom metal album that by way of an industrial album, by way of a pop album. Like it sounds like it's all electronic, but it's like really deep, dark electronic sounds, like pulsing, evil sounding stuff. And like the third song on here straight up sounds like an Electric Wizard song, which is a doom metal band that's like the heaviest band in the world. It's not as heavy as their music, but like the way the song sounds, I guess another comparison would be Black Sabbath. Like it's like a Black Sabbath song, but played with industrial instruments by a pop singer. Like I mean, I don't know if I'd say pop, but she's like a singer-songwriter artist.
Right.
She has a beautiful voice. She sings on all these songs. I don't know. I mean, I guess she writes them too. I don't know if she performs them, but like the musicianship is very interesting. The choice of doing this style of music with these instruments and this vocalist is something I've never heard before. Like it's totally different and out there. The first 3 songs are all really great. After that, it's kind of hit or miss. Some of them are just like really weird and not in a necessarily pleasant way, where it's just like it just kind of sounds like the last song is like it sounds like a fucked up trippy broken music box type thing, like a horror movie music box sound that goes on for like 5 minutes, and she sings over it, and like I can't understand any of the fucking lyrics at all. Like it's a little too like like creepy and in the background, but yeah, those first 3 songs are definitely something. None of them were so amazing that I put them in my top 35 songs of the year, but overall, I thought it was a solid album. Definitely something to listen to when in a certain mood, though I don't think it holds up all the way through, or else I would have put it in my top 10. All right, what other honorable mentions do you have? How many do you have left?
I could probably just belt out a few real quick.
Alrighty.
A couple artists that are from Virginia Beach, but have since moved away, have released songs. Natalie Prass released her first big album, I think. She's kind of like singer-songwriter. Really pretty voice. She has a song called Bird of Prey, which is the only one I can think of right now. I heard it playing in Starbucks in Florida, so I was like, damn, she made it. Like
I guess she did make it.
She also released a live
that,
EP.
or she's also in Florida. She knows the people at your Starbucks.
She's pretty good. Reminds me of She and Him, which is Zoe Deschanel and some guy. I don't know his fucking name, but it reminds me of that kind of.
Zoe Deschanel.
This dude named.
I didn't know she did music. I'm not surprised. But...
Yeah, actually, fucking people love her, man. They love She and Him. This dude named Wesley Bunch, I think is his last name, and he actually knows like Todd Webb and all those other fucking people. He put out an album as Suburban Living, which. The best way I can describe it is if if Joy Division made music today, like it's not like you look at the album cover, you're like, this is gonna be like poppy or something or super indie. I don't know why, but it sounded like Joy Division to me, and the album cover actually inspired me to buy my new bass. I saw the album cover on Instagram. I was like, hey man, what kind of bass is that you're playing on the album? He's like, oh, it's a Fender Music Master.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it. Yeah, that stuff's pretty interesting. That's it for the local artists. Waxahachie put out a new album, and I just saw the album cover at AFK, and I was like, damn, that girl looks cool. That album cover's cool. I'm gonna check it out. It's folky, kind of monotone-y a little bit songs, but really good. Her other albums are good as well. Sufjan Stevens came out with a new album this year.
That's not in your top 4?
No. It's not. Is it in yours?
No. But we can talk about it. Carrie and Lowell, the new Sufjan's album.
Depressing.
Way too fucking sad.
Pretty fucking sad. I bought it, though.
Yeah,
so...
you got it on cassette, right?
No, I got it on clear vinyl. Transparent.
Yeah, I don't know about you. Sufjan Stevens is funny for me because, like, he has a lot of music and I haven't listened to most of it. Really? But, like, The Age of Odds is one of my favorite albums.
Yeah. And
you got me into it. You sent me Impossible Soul, or you posted it on Facebook one time, and I was like, this is awesome. And then
what? Really?
Yeah, you posted Impossible Soul like a year and a half, over 2 years ago, possibly.
And that's how you found out about Sufjan?
Yeah, it would have been early into us knowing each other. You posted Impossible Soul on Facebook. I listened to it. I thought it was great. I downloaded the album. This is like right before I got into Mew and all that shit, and Fantano and all that. So I loved The Age of Odds, and then like I couldn't get into his other stuff as much because I was used to this like insanely bombastic like techno sound, or not techno but electronic music, and then his other stuff's a lot more like down tempo folk stuff. And then like over time I've kind of gotten into like a lot of the songs on Illinois, but like he's got a ton of albums. And
listen to Year of the Rabbit or whatever. That's like his electronic noise album. It's his second album.
I haven't even heard that one.
But it's madness.
Yeah, Carrie and Lowell came out, and like all the songs are really good, but god damn, they are depressing.
That's just
holy fuck.
Sad AF.
And there's certain. This is mostly like folk albums. Fuck me up. Like sad folk fucks me up. I used to be like a big fan of Mark Lanigan, who is a blues folk singer, and like I would listen to his albums, and every time I listened to him, I realized at some point I would end up on my bed feeling like shit. Every time. And I just stopped listening to him. I couldn't take it anymore. Like, it was so depressing, I couldn't listen to it. And that's how I felt about Carrie and Lowell. Like, I would make it, like, 3 songs deep, and then I would just be so miserable that I didn't want to go on anymore. So I couldn't, like... I don't even know... I think I might have finished the album once, and the other times I gave up. I think I listened
to it a few times. I probably played it for my roommate, and my roommate's like, "Are you okay, Trevor? Like, are you gonna kill yourself or something?" I was like, "No, man, just like the music." It is pretty fucking sad, though.
Oh my god.
Definitely worthy of mention. It's good.
Yeah.
It is good. That new Prurient album, didn't finish it. I can't really talk about it. What I did listen to...
I thought for sure you were singing the praises of that period album earlier this year.
The parts, I probably listened to like a quarter of it, maybe. It's a fucking long album.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it.
Over an hour long.
That's just like Garden of Delete. That's another one that, in spite of being so weird and out there, everyone seemed to have it on their favorites list, and I wasn't really that into it.
I have listened to a lot of other Purient. I played y'all the fucking Harsh Noise the other day, which is literally like mic feedback.
I think I'd be more into that though. Like, I like Harsh Noise, but this, like, his new album has it's sort of like a mixture of Harsh Noise and like dark wave. Like,
yeah, it is definitely more like dark wave leaning than any of his other stuff.
Dark wave stuff, it comes off as like corny to me, like a lot of the time. Like on that album in particular, like I don't know. It felt to me like something that someone would like for him, and he's an extremely prolific musician.
He has a lot of
albums.
So
I feel like he probably kind of threw a lot of it together, where it's like more improv and like just like he just threw some sounds together.
Maybe.
And I think it's interesting that it works for so many people. Like, you know, I don't blame anyone for liking it, but like to me it just felt like whatever, you know.
Whatever. Throw out a few more, and then I'll be done. Beach House put out 2 albums this year. Depression Cherry, which feels a little more polished to me. Like it's different than the other one, Thank Your Lucky Stars. Both great. I looked it up on my Google Play Music. I listen to albums and I give them a thumb up or a thumb down. Both album, every song but one has thumbs up, so obviously pretty good. Thank Your Lucky Stars sounds a little more like, it reminds me of Prom Night or something to me. But
Prom Night.
Just in general, like,
what is like is that a band?
No, like literally someo's prom night. Like if you were watching a movie.
See, I thought of the Oneohtrix song "Prom Night."
Oh no!
Like, love me, like it's prom night.
They're both pretty sad though. Very solid. I had only been in the Beach House since I started watching the show Master of None, and their song Master of None was used as the ending music to one of the episodes. I was like, damn, what song is that? Beach House. Let me get into them. I think... Alright, yeah. Just one more. Table Scraps, which was this punk band I found out about fairly early in the year, and I just latched onto them. I was getting in on the ground floor here. They're... related to Burger Records. Their tape is out on Burger, but they're British. They opened for King Tuff, who was a former Burger act. He kind of plays stoner rock. They've also played shows with the Garden. They're just British punk people. It's actually the drummer's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Poppy. And the dude that plays guitar looks like me. I saw a picture of him and I thought it was me. I was like, oh, I don't remember being in that picture. And I looked closer. Oh, that's not me. But yeah, I bought their t-shirt. I didn't buy their album, but I bought their t-shirt, bought a
Speaking
of
British punk, I wanted to get into the album, the new Sleaford Mods album. I don't remember what it's called. It's a band that it's an album Fantano loved a lot, and it's just like each song is just like a bass and drum groove, and then this dude like doing like really angry spoken word about like, just being pissed off in British. It's just like, what, mate? You fucking want to talk to me? Well, fuck off then. Like that's how, like that's the vocal delivery. I gotta play it for you. You might actually really like it.
Sounds like British Henry Rollins.
Yeah, that's actually a lot. What it's a lot like Henry Rollins sounding. It was like the kind of thing that like every once in a while I'd put it on as like a novelty and I would enjoy it, but like I couldn't possibly listen to it like on repeat or anything.
One more actually. Dark Star. Foam Island, which I just listened to like 2 weeks ago. It's basically these 2 British guys. They're from like rural Britain, and the album is like these kind of atmospheric, you know, just electronic beats and textures, and I think there's some live instrumentation. But throughout the whole album, there are these interviews with the youth from like where they're from in Britain, talking about like disillusionment and such with, you know, economy and just, you know, trying to find their way. It's pretty poignant. Great album.
All right, well, we're gonna take a break now so I can move the files from my camera to the computer because the camera's gonna be full, and then we'll talk about our top albums. This has all just been honorable mentions for an hour.
Hey man, a lot of good music.
Yeah, there's a lot, all good stuff. So catch you in part 2, which will start now.